In life, you have two choices. You can build a lifestyle or you can live a bullshit life, but you can't do both. Welcome to the Freedom Lifestyle Experience, where we focus on building the lifestyle you want. And now here's your host, Michael Burns.
Welcome back to the Freedom Lifestyle Experience. I'm your host, Mike Burns. How's everyone doing? So I bought a fucking Ferrari, guys, and it's everything that you would imagine a Ferrari is. It's badass, it's sexy, it's fast. Just everything about it is really cool. But there's so much more behind just the car that I really wanted to talk about. You know, it's not an Instagram or a Facebook post. Well, not an Instagram post because I'm currently banned on Instagram. I'm working on that. But it's not about like looking cool and you know, everything for the gram and a social media post. Like for me, buying this Ferrari and going through the mental process of actually giving myself permission to buy the Ferrari literally was an entire process. And until you're, you know, like from where I come from, I've shared with you guys before, I come from a small town. My parents owned a nursery and a landscape center, very volatile business. It's seasonal. You know, when people don't have disposable income, their landscape and the plants in their yard is definitely not their top priority. So we grew up well. I grew up in a, you know, middle class, upper middle class, nice family. We had everything that we needed, but hard work and the stress and pressure of owning a small business was constantly always there. And through that, I learned hard work, but more than hard work, also the value of $1. So all the way to today, I for real won't spend more than $60 on a pair of shoes. Like I'm a pretty frugal, cheap dude. I like to travel, you know, like I'll spend money on traveling, and we got a nice home. And then now, you know, that I'm 10 years, 12 years into my current business, but really I've been hustling and grinding since I was 19 years old. I had a $2 million sales quota, and I've had a lot of delayed gratification, you know, just rolling the money. You know, early on in our real estate business, we took some pretty serious losses, lost 50 G's on our second deal, 10 grand on our third deal. You know, I've lost a lot of money on deals, and since then we've made a lot of money too, but I've never forgot, because of that first 18 months getting going in real estate was such a challenge and such an uphill battle, and money was tight. You know, like we literally couldn't afford the utility bills on our flips. So I would have the heat like 40 degrees, 45, 50 degrees, just warm enough to make sure that pipes wouldn't freeze, but also keeping it down to where the furnace isn't running all the time. And we had high gas bills. Same thing in the summer, you know, making sure the AC is not going all the time. So really just my process of getting to where I'm at now, to where I'm in a position and I can buy a Ferrari, and quite honestly, it doesn't affect my money situation at all. The cash flow alone from our businesses covers the cost of the car a couple times over. The delayed gratification, but not only that, you just rolling the money into the business and, you know, constantly growing the business and taking the flips from a couple to 3 to 5 to 5 to 7 to 7 to 9 to 10 to 12. Now we're doing 12 to 15 deals at a time. That requires a lot of capital and a lot of credit. So just laying all of that framework for you guys while I'm talking about going through the mental process of actually considering purchasing a car that's, you know, it's in excess of $300,000 is just seems reckless. It seems irresponsible. I'm a pretty humble dude. I'm not a flashy guy. You know, if you follow me on social media, I'm really outspoken, but I'm not showing my Rolex watches every day and just constantly like trying to be that flashy guy on Instagram. That's just not how I roll. It's actually been really challenging for me to share the wins. I don't mind talking about the losses because I'm just here trying to provide value, but I struggle with talking about my wins and sharing the numbers on our deals. And, you know, like I said, showing the nice watches and the nice trips. You know, we have a pretty cool, badass house. All of that stuff's just not where I come from. I come from pretty humble beginnings. And, you know, like I said, this small family owned business in a small town, and that's just not how I was raised. So that's one thing I really want to talk about, you know, with my lifestyle. I've got the 6 different pillars, and one of them is fun and experience. And part of that's the monetary things and having nice shit. You know, we work hard and we should be able to do fun things and have nice things like Rolex watches, a nice house, a Ferrari, taking the trips. It's like, why are we sitting here doing all this work and grinding? And, you know, I work till 2 a.m. on a regular fucking basis, and it's okay to spend money. It's okay to have nice shit. And, you know, a lot of one of the biggest things I was concerned about when I bought this car is like, fuck, what's everyone going to think? And I know I'm constantly talking on the show about like, fuck what everybody thinks, you got to do your thing and lead by example. But people want to see you do good, but there's a cap to how good people want to see you do. And then beyond that, that's like when some of the negative comments start coming out. And I've experienced that through my life with different friends, with different family members. Even it's been surprising with buying the Ferrari. I've had nothing but positivity outpouring, which was really cool to me because I was kind of expecting a little bit more of the negative from people. And I've only had one person who I thought was a true homie make a shitty comment to me. And it is what it is. It's just part of the deal. Like I said, not everyone's coming with you and people want to see you do good. But, if it's better than them or if it's, starting to do too good, then their own insecurities come out, and then all of their judgments and all of their, basically they just project their bullshit towards your way. And that's really all haters are, guys. It's just people who they're just sharing their own thoughts and opinions of themselves in your direction. So you got to just not worry about it. But anyway, circling back to, buying the Ferrari, the whole process of that, it's a Ferrari, right? Like it's a badass car. It's fun to drive. It's all of that is a cool experience. But also for me, it's about more than just the car itself. I've got my mentor, Albert. I talk to you guys a lot about mentors and coaches. And my mentor, Albert, out in California, he's been telling me I should get a Ferrari for the last 2 years just because it's a great marketing tool. It's one of those symbols of success that's an undeniable thing. And it just will really help grow my brand. And when people see symbols of success, you can't like you're doing it, right? You can fake certain things, but when you start living the lifestyle and you start having the symbols of success, you're closing the deals, like I wear Rolex watches because I like them, but it's just a fact. When people see signs of success, they look at you differently. They might treat you differently, or it could just open opportunities. It could start a conversation. It's kind of like, I'm always talking about put yourself in the right environment, So like if I'm putting myself in an environment, I'm paying to be part of a high level mastermind group, and I'm there and I'm talking with people and people see that, oh, this dude's got, he's got a Yachtmaster 2 Rolex on. It's a symbol of success. Or like when I pull up to the country club in my Ferrari, people notice me and they look at me differently and they want to know, who is that guy and what does he do? Obviously, he's successful. Obviously, he's somebody. He's doing something if he's driving a Ferrari. And yeah, there are people that can fake that. And I'm not really worried about my perception. So I really want to be clear on what I'm saying. I'm not sitting here saying that be flashy and have these nice shit so people think you're cool and successful. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from a very strategic point of view, and just the reality is, if you're in business like I am, and you have signs of success, like a nice watch, a Ferrari, a nice truck, like you're a member at the country club, there's certain things that show that you're successful, and that's, people are attracted to success. So, one of the big reasons why I bought the car was for my personal brand. I've got the podcast. I'm really doing this every week, trying to grow the podcast. My social media, very, very active on that. I'm making a very strong effort to grow my personal brand because I know that's if people like me and they like my message and I'm authentic and I'm sitting here being real with you guys, sharing my journey, sharing my stories, sharing my success, sharing my failures, and really talking about my core values and just saying, hey, this is who I am as an individual. This is what I'm doing in business. This is how we operate. People who are attracted to that, they're going to want to get involved, or the people are attracted to success. So if you're a loan officer and you see what we're doing with lifestyle lending and you like what I'm about, you like what the core values are about, you can see the signs of success. People are going to want to be a part of that. Loan officers are going to want to join our company. If you're a real estate agent and you're seeing those same things, you like the idea of self-development and the idea of this culture that we're building, they're going to want to come be a part of it and hopefully join our company. The more that I share what we're doing with our real estate deals and just, again, continuing to share myself and everything that I'm about and being open and vulnerable and transparent, which is one of my core values, and leading by example, I have people hitting me up with deals, and I also have people hitting me up saying, hey, I've got money. I would love to invest in your deals. So that's why I'm doubling down on my brand with everything that I'm doing the monthly meetups at our office, The car is a big part of that, and it's a huge marketing strategy for us. So that's how I, kind of justified buying this Ferrari. But even then, it's a huge purchase. It was $325,000. Like, it's a lot of fucking money. So having to go through the process of, number one, it's awesome. It's a cool car. It's beautiful. And who doesn't want to drive a Ferrari, right? It's a dream of every little kid. But then also going through the process of justifying why it makes sense outside of just pleasure, but then actually pulling the trigger on buying it, like, I'm good enough to do this. I deserve to do this. It was literally probably a 10-day process of when I really, really started like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy a Ferrari, and then starting to look at them and then seeing the price points. And then, again, the strategy was a big piece to me too. I was super concerned about, I don't want to buy one of these and then end up upside down on it, So I started looking at like 2016s that weren't a convertible. They were just the coupe. And then just, understanding the market and looking at comps and prices. And again, where mentors come in, I was able to reach out to my mentor, Albert. He's got like 3 or 4 Ferraris, and asking him like, hey man, this is my thoughts. This is kind of like my concerns with probably keep this thing for a couple of years and then get rid of it and get another one, or whatever that looks like in 2 years. I want to make sure I'm not upside down. So then getting his opinion on how they hold their value and what he would do. And then Mark Evans, who also, he's got multiple Rolls Royces. He just bought a Ferrari last summer as well. So I was able to reach out to Mark and say, hey man, I'm considering buying a Ferrari. He's like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. You should do it. And I said, well, this is why I'm considering doing it. It's about more than just having a cool car. Like, I really want to position it to help build the brand, and just all the reasons why it makes sense. And I thought it makes sense. And having a mentor to reach out to and bounce that idea and not only get confirmation, but to be honest, guys, I was looking for permission. Like, I needed to be given permission that it was okay to do that. But not only that it was a smart move. It was about more, like I said, about more than just buying a fast supercar. You know what I mean? Like, am I being strategic about it? Am I being smart about it? Like, I can afford this car. I could pay cash for it multiple times over. I'm not going to pay cash for it because I use my money for our deals. So I finance the car. But just really going through that entire process of, does it make sense, and justifying it, getting permission. So anyways, I talked with Mark, and he was like, dude, I would recommend buying a newer one than a 16. I'd get something that's a little bit newer. So I ended up buying a 2018 488 Spider. So basically I bought a 2018 convertible at super low miles, 4,000 miles, one owner, which was about $70,000 more than what I was initially looking at. So then I had to go through the mental process of, fuck, this thing, I was looking at the 250, 260 range. Now all of a sudden I'm at like 320, 340 range. And so then I had to go absorb that mentally, process, holy shit, like now we're talking about another, a whole nother price point. But again, from a strategic standpoint, and learning how they hold their values and understanding, okay, it actually makes more sense to spend more money now up front with something that's newer, with lower miles, and that's also the convertible, because when I go to sell this thing and exit in probably 2 years, 3 years, 18 months, whenever it is, this thing's going to hold its value, and really understanding how much the miles affect the price and understanding all of that. So now that I'm able to go through this whole process, I could get to where I was comfortable pulling the trigger on the car. So then once I saw the one that I loved, just like that, it was done. This is probably the easiest sale for the guy. I didn't see it in person. It came from Ferrari of Washington, D.C. So I saw the car online, loved it, reached out to him, talked to the sales guy, had him send me a couple of videos, and I said, okay, cool, let's do it. Yeah, I tried to negotiate the price a little bit, negotiated the interest rate a little bit on the loan. But once I went through that whole process, waking Kia up at 1 a.m, like, babe, do you think I'm tripping? Like, is this stupid? Like, just constantly looking for, it's okay to buy this Ferrari, because, and like I said, where I come from and my thought process is, it's just so excessive. I could do so much other things with this money. But then when I start breaking it down, and it's like, well, it's really not that much money. It's a down payment and it's a monthly payment, and then looking at all the benefits of it. So that's really this mental process that I went through with buying this Ferrari. And until you do that, or if you're someone who has made your money literally from nothing like I have, and you've eaten shit all the way up and like delayed gratification for 10 years and just grinded and grinded and grinded. Like for me, it's not easy to go spend money on these luxury things. So it truly was like an entire mental process. But most people, they just say, oh yeah, Burns goes out and buys a fucking Ferrari. And it's just like, oh, he's just throwing money away. And like, until you actually go through that process and you are business savvy and you're very conscious with your finances and you're just super dialed in and very aware of what's going on and you are mature with your finances and you understand money, you understand credit, you understand cash flow, and just where I'm at with all of that stuff. It's not like just going out and buying a Ferrari, like fuck it, and being reckless. It's the total opposite. It was actually like a really interesting process to go through mentally. So then when we took delivery of the Ferrari, my buddies knew about it, like a couple of my close friends and the guys in my mastermind group when I was down in Florida. That's actually, I had the dealership overnight the documents to me down there when I signed everything and sent them back. So those guys all knew, but back here in Utah, just two of my buddies knew. That was it. So when we took delivery of the car, first thing Kia wanted to do was drive over to my mom's house and show her. And I had a ton of reservations about it because I was just worried about basically the reaction of my family. Like, oh, fucking Mike just went out and bought a Ferrari, thinks he's a big shot, or just, all these things that I have in my head. And none of that happened. Like everyone was so stoked and so excited. It was really cool. And so it was cool to show my mom, but also one of my favorite experiences with the car so far is went over to my brother's house and showing my little nephew, Nija. He's 10 years old. And so anyways, my brother came out and saw it and we went for a drive in it. And then he went in and got my nephew and I let my brother drive it and take my nephew for a ride in it. And just seeing him light up and, Uncle Mike bought a Ferrari, and it was just seeing how excited he was. And then we had a family. My other nephew's birthday was last Sunday, and I took the car over there and just, seeing like the 10-year-old nephews all excited about it and shit. That's like so much cooler than me actually getting it, just being able to share it and show them and have them see that, but also like give them the message of, if you work hard, you can have and do and be whatever you want to be. And whatever you want to do, like, buddy, if you want to have a Ferrari, you can absolutely do it. You just got to work hard, and really instilling that message in the next generation. And why I'm sharing everything I'm doing in my life is I'm just trying to provide value to the world and share my journey. And hopefully it's helping and, giving others confidence of, hey, I can do that shit too. And talking about the idea of I can do that too. For me, when I get around, and I've talked about this in the show before, but you got to get around an environment where the things you want to do and be are happening. So buying a Ferrari would never be real to me, several years ago. It's real to me because I have friends that have cars like that. I put myself in environments where people are more successful than me and they're just more established in business. Maybe they're my same age or they're older, but I put myself around people who ideally I want to be the little guy in the room. I never want to be the big fish in the room because that's not how I roll. I like to be around people who are doing way more than I am because it makes me level up, because I don't want to feel like a little bitch if I'm continuing to show up and I'm around these people in a group and I'm not continuing to grow and I'm not making more money. My relationships aren't getting better. I'm not getting in better shape. Like I'm not doing more deals. My business isn't growing. I'm going to feel like a little bitch, and that's not what I want. One of my core values is self-development, and the other one is experts at our craft, and I take that shit serious. So I'm always trying to do more and get better, and being around people, like when I have this coach, Albert, and he's literally in the exact same business and I am. He's several years older than me, but I've watched him build his mortgage company into where they probably have 8 locations now and they're funding 300, 400 loans a month. He also has his real estate brokerage and they're doing well there. They're just moving into this brand new badass corporate office in West Hollywood. So when I'm watching him do exactly what I'm doing, but at a higher level, I'm like, well, that's possible. I sit down with the dude. There's nothing special about him other than he fucking works and he executes and he just does it. So being around him and seeing what he's doing, and then also seeing how he's leveraged nice things like Ferraris and just showing the lifestyle that he's living, and he's allowed that to help him grow his personal brand, which has helped him really blow his companies up because people want to be a part of this culture. They want to be a part of winning. They want to be a part of self-development. So being around where I'm seeing people, I have another buddy here in Utah. Was driving a McLaren, and then he just recently bought a really nice Porsche and stuff. So seeing other guys that I know or people that I'm around, doing these same things makes it real and possible for me as well. And that's why I'm always talking about your environment so much, guys, is like the environment that you place yourself in is the reality that you're placing yourself in. So buying a Ferrari might not be real today. It might be just like you can't even comprehend it. And that's where I would have been at 4 or 5, even just a few years ago, even though financially I probably could have done it. Just the idea of it, just that it wasn't real. So the more that we continue to upgrade our environment, the more that we continue to raise our standards, stuff like that can become real. But it's only going to become real for you if you're around it and you're seeing it happen for other people. And then you realize these guys are no different than me. If they can do it, then I can do it. But also with that said, there's also time, you got to earn your stripes. Rome wasn't built in a day, all of that stuff. So there's the reality of doing something like that and giving yourself permission, but there's also being realistic and understanding where you're at. And delayed gratification is a big deal. Putting in the work is a big deal. Like you really, there's a fine line of that, right? And just because you can afford something or you can barely afford something doesn't mean that you should do it. So there's a ton of financial literacy and responsibility there as well when you're making these decisions, whatever it might be. So again, I just really want to reiterate that I'm not just saying, oh, fuck it, go out and buy, whatever nice stuff you want. I'm saying it's okay to go buy the nice things that you want when you've earned it. For example, when I bought my first Rolex, I love watches. Watches are like my thing. I'm not really a car guy, even though I just bought a Ferrari. Like I just went through the whole thought process and explanation for you as to why it makes sense for me. But I love watches. And when I bought my first Rolex, I had wanted this Rolex and I made a deal with myself. It's like, okay, next time we make $100,000 in a month, I'm going to go get my Rolex that I want. And then I hit the goal, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't comprehend spending $10,000 or $12,000 on a watch. I couldn't do it. So anyways, I didn't do it. So I was like, okay, next time, I hit that financial goal. And I literally had to set a financial goal and hit it 4 times before I finally was like, fuck it, I'm going to buy the watch. And it's not even about the watch, guys. It's about who you have to become to get the thing that you want, So like the guy or the person that I had to become to make $100,000 in a month, you can't, like, that doesn't just happen, right? Like you got to become someone to where you're able to produce that type of deal. And then, I remember when I did it, I was like, well, maybe that was a fluke. I don't want to be reckless with my money. Like, you know what I mean? I don't need the watch that bad, and I just kind of bitched out on the thing. So it's like, oh, well, next time I do that, then I'll get the watch because then it wasn't a fluke. I didn't get lucky. So next time I hit $100,000, I'll let myself get the Rolex. And then it happened. And then same thing. I went through the whole process of like, maybe I got lucky. It's stupid. It's reckless. I don't need it. Like it's just, it's ridiculous to spend that kind of money on a watch. Like it just sits on your wrist. So anyways, I went through that process 4 times. And then finally I was like, fuck it. I went and got my watch, and it's not even about the watch. It's about everything behind the watch. It's about the process that I went through to be in a position to be able to get the watch, about the process of if I hit this goal and then still thinking I didn't deserve it, and then doing it again and still thinking I don't deserve it, and then finally pulling the trigger on it when I've earned it 4 times over at that point. It's so much more than just a watch. It's a reminder every day of like who I have become to be in a position to be able to buy something like that, and knowing in my heart of hearts that it's not reckless. I can afford it, no problem. I can do it. Like it's not irresponsible. So it's like a little trophy, it's like a business trophy, having a Rolex watch. Like my Ferrari, it's like a trophy, like, and sitting in it. So like, the way that I feel wearing the watch, and I know everything that went into it, it builds self-confidence, and it's just an everyday reminder and kind of a pat on the back and an attaboy of you've come a long way to get here. But it's also a reminder of, if I'm going to be wearing a watch like that, then I better be fucking acting like a guy that wears a watch like that. And it's the same thing with the Ferrari. It's going to be awesome for marketing. Like, I took it out to, a real estate networking thing the other night, and just the amount of marketing and buzz and attention from one meeting was crazy to see. But when I'm sitting in that car, like, I felt guilty. I still feel a little bit guilty buying this car, but I can tell you, when I sat in it with Kia and we're super excited, we're sitting in it and I'm driving it. I mean, the experience of driving the Ferrari, obviously it's fucking awesome, right? It's a Ferrari. But the moment that I had with myself of like, wow, man, you really did this, and having this proud moment with myself, and just this moment with myself of like, dude, the other night, it was probably like 1 a.m, and I got up and I went out and I just turned the light in the garage on, and I just looked at the car, and I was like, wow, man, you're here. You've come this far to where you've got a fucking Ferrari in your garage. How cool is that? And just having a proud moment with myself, which I don't do a lot of because I'm always looking to grow into the next thing. So just really having these things, they're success symbols for myself, and they're like little trophies for myself. I hope you guys are connecting with that. But it's, like I said, it's about so much more than just a flashy watch or this Ferrari supercar. It's a big deal for me mentally, emotionally, and really cool to just have that experience with myself. But with that said, guys, I'm just sharing these recent wins with where I'm at, and again, I'm 34 years old today. I started in business when I was 19 doing inside sales. So that's 15 years of, being in sales or having my business and real estate and mortgage and investments and everything that we do. So I'm just sharing where I'm at today, my vision board is flying on private jets. There's a picture of me and Kia flown on a private jet. I've been on private jets a couple times. I want that to be my new normal. So on my vision board, I have a photo and it's me and Kia in front of a private jet. Also on my vision board, I have a picture of a big ass yacht. So there's levels to everything. But also I want to rewind and go back to 10 years ago or whenever it was. That's not where my vision board was. My vision board was make $100,000 in a year. I had a nice Citizen watch that I wanted. I remember when I bought my first nice Citizen watch and I spent like, I don't know, $300 on it. I was just as fucking excited and stoked walking out of that store in the mall, guys, as I was when I got my Rolex. And I think it's really important to communicate that. Like, I was every bit as excited when I got a $300 watch as I was when I bought a $10,000 watch. Same thing when I went and bought a new when I was like 19, 20 and I was kicking ass in inside sales. I remember I went and bought an all blacked out 2-door coupe Honda Civic. And I was every bit excited about buying that car as I was when I got my Ferrari. The point that I'm making is it's levels, right? Like, you got to focus on where you're at and be excited about the next level and reward yourself and be in that moment. Because if you're just looking at the top of the mountain, you're never going to be fulfilled. You got to acknowledge your wins along the way. And that's why winning the day is so important, and just understanding that this is a process. You know what I mean? So like, I'm on a process right now. Like, I've far from made it. So it's cool to have like the immediate things that we want. And it's good to have the things the big dream pick things that we want like way out in the future as well. But you kind of got to have the steps along the way, because that's how you build momentum and that's how you build confidence, as you continue to hit a next level. And then you're looking at the next level, the next level, and the next level, and it just keeps going from there. And you got to become, really listen to what I'm saying right now, guys. Who do I have to become to get to the next level of where I'm going? And then once you're there, who do I have to become to get to the next level? And that's the foundation of my message, is personal accountability and staying loyal to your potential. So if you're constantly being personally accountable to any and everything, and you're staying loyal to your potential, then you're just focused on the journey, and you're always trying to do a little more, and you're always trying to get a little bit better. And if you continue to do that, I promise you at some point in time, you're going to reach all your dreams and all your goals. So with that said, guys, I really appreciate you listening. If you liked the show, please share the show, leave me a review. I'm still off of Instagram, but my Facebook is going strong at Mr. Michael Burns. I'd love to connect with you online. I'd love to hear what you like about the show, maybe what you don't like about the show, new things you'd like me to talk about, and just appreciate all the love and support. So until then, go build that lifestyle, and we'll see you guys next week.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.